told you I'd be back. And so we just had our meal planning discussion, and I said I was going to be making some lamb curry in the Instant Pot. So here I am back so that we can put that together. Yeah, I was going to take the hat off, but after a run, it's better with the hat on. Anyway, curry's a great meal. It's got plenty of spice, and there's no right or wrong way, really, because there's just so many varieties of seasonings that people use. But I'm looking forward to making this. I have some beautiful lamb that is already cut into pieces, so it doesn't get any easier than that. And I have all my spices and all my ingredients. So just the first thing that I'm going to do is actually drain the liquid out of this package of lamb so that we can just put the meat only into the Instant Pot, because I really don't want all this liquid. So I'm just going to cut a little part of the plastic here and then kind of drain it over the sink to get at least most of that liquid kind of out of here. And there we go. You know, if I was frying this meat, I would want to pat it dry with paper towels and get it super dry, but this should be good enough. So I'm just going to get it in a bowl here so it's ready to go. Not the first thing we're adding, I just wanted to get it ready. All right, good enough. Keep a cloth handy. All right, so the meat is actually one of the last things to go in, so I'll just set that to the side. I'm going to make this all in the new Instant Pot Pro, which I'm really excited to use. And it has both the saute and the pressure cook setting that I'm going to be using for this meal. It does other things, but that's what I'm going to be using for this meal in particular. So I'm just going to open that up and have it ready for our ingredients. So we're first going to start kind of with the aromatics. So I have onion, ginger, and garlic. That's going to give this a lot of flavor. Here's a half an onion, or a fourth of a large onion that's already peeled, and I just have the end on here. Can you see? I'm going to go like that. All right. So to get some nice rounds, we're just going to leave the stem on. It holds it together, and just do some nice cuts. Use the point of the knife. Don't not down on it like this, starting at the end, and just do these, I don't know, is that 1/4 of an inch apart? You could almost follow the little lines on the onion, but we're not going to get that crazy specific about it here. All right, so now that I've done that, I can just cut this end off at a little angle, and now I have these nice pieces that are just right. Okay. Let's get rid of that. So the onion is ready. I'm going to separate it a little. Of course, I can do that while it's cooking. There. All right. So I've got a couple of cloves of garlic. We don't want the little hard end piece, so I'm just going to lob that off. I could go with more garlic. You know me, I like my garlic. But I have a lot of seasonings in this, so I think I'm going to go with these 2 pretty good-sized cloves. Give it a whack, and the papery skin will come right away from the meaty part that we want. Super easy. I actually really whacked the hell out of it, didn't I? That's all right. Okay. And I'm just going to give this a rough chop with a knife, just to break it down a little more. This is going to cook for a bit, and it will break down, so I'm not really worried about pieces. But there we go. All right. And lastly, for our aromatics, I have ginger. That really gives beautiful flavor. Okay, so I have a little piece of ginger here, and a lot of people think, oh my God, this is going to be hard to work with. I have to peel it and all that. I'll tell you a trick. Just take a spoon and just, well, don't do it over your onions there, and scrape it. You see what I'm doing? Just scrape it. And the peel pretty much comes right off. You may have to go back and get in one little place or something, but it works very well. That's all you have to do. So I'm peeling most of this off, but I'm going to grate it after we get the onion started and add it in. Oh, that smells good. Once you start opening that up. Oh, it smells delicious. Ginger has such great umami, wonderful flavor. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the tippity end because that's not going in. So there we have it, nice and clean. Okay, I have a grater ready to go. So let's turn the pressure cooker on to the saute setting. High temp, I'm going to leave it at. And I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. And I probably should have done this and let it warm up while I was messing with that, but that's okay. Just get enough olive oil to kind of cover the bottom, but we don't need a lot. Okay? A lot is just not necessary. So while that's warming up, I guess we can grate the ginger and have it ready to go, right? So I'm just going to, let me see. Just going to take it along here, this microplaner. And if you don't have one of these, like a regular box grater would work, or you can always dice it up into fine pieces and then just run a knife over it again and again, and you can get it finely cut up. But this also, the grating kind of releases the flavor, and so we're going to get a lot of flavor out of that. Look at that. It's nicely finely ground. Okay. This heats up in no time. Let me tell you that. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get the onion in there and the garlic together. Okay. And we've got our ginger ready to go when it's time. So in the meanwhile, I can kind of cut up these carrots a little bit and just have them ready to go in the wings. I did not peel the carrots, but I scrubbed them just to kind of get any hard, parts on the outside off the carrots. But I don't see the point in peeling them when they're going to cook slow like this. Maybe if they were going in a salad or something. But, there's a lot of vitamins in the skin, so we want to keep that. I'm not cutting them really small, just nice pieces, so that every serving gets a few nice bites of carrot. Yep, starting to get warm. This Instant Pot has settings to make yogurt and do sous vide and slow cook and cook rice as well. But for this recipe, I'm going to use the saute setting, and then I'm going to do the pressure cooking. If I'd started this earlier, I could have just sauteed it and then turned it to slow cook and let it cook for a while. While we're at it, I'm going to open the can of peeled tomatoes and just have them ready in the wings as well. So while this is happening, you can kind of get all your other ingredients ready. This makes it a quicker meal. Okay, that's ready. So just to let you know what else I have here, I have coconut milk. I'm not going to use the whole can probably, but it's going to give it some beautiful richness. Of course, I have salt. I have turmeric. I have garam masala, paprika, ground cumin, curry powder, and cardamom. So a lot of beautiful flavors. This should be really good. So the thing that I'm really curious about is, am I going to get that beautiful slow cook flavor? Sammy, you don't belong in the kitchen. Somebody's trying to steal the show. Question is, are we going to get that beautiful slow cook flavor by cooking it so quickly? I'm going to say yes, because I've had such a good success with that with other things. But let's give it a try, and I'll let you know how this tastes. But now, can you hear it sizzling? It's starting to bubble a little bit. Yeah. So we really want to get these onions going before we add the ginger. But I'm going to give it a pinch of salt. Basically, you want to wake up the flavor. And I'm going to salt the meat while I have a minute to do that too. Okay? Very important. Even if you're watching your salt intake, you need a little bit to cook properly. So just a small amount goes a long way sometimes, especially if you do it at the right time in the cooking process. So if I salt these onions with just ever so little like I did while they're cooking, it's really going to do its job. All right. Oh, it's already smelling good. So we'll let that cook. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out the spices. You know, I don't really measure, but just for the sake of anyone who wants some guidelines, I will use a few measuring implements here. But since we have a lot of things, I'm not going to use a lot of any of them, right? So I've got, let's see, a half teaspoon of turmeric. You know, I may go back and add more of some of this stuff later. I'll do the same with the garam masala. There we go. I love the smell of onions and garlic cooking. Do you? I just think it smells so homey and good. Cumin. If you don't have all of these, don't worry about it. Just use a little more of what you do have, and I'm sure it'll taste good. I did more like 3/4 of a teaspoon on the cumin. Paprika. I have smoked paprika. You could use the sweet if you want. I'm going to put a generous amount. It gives so much color. And love that smokiness. I'm going to go easy on the cardamom. Just, you know, like, which would be like 1/4 of a teaspoon here. Just want a hint of that, not too much. It can be overbearing. And the curry powder, let's bring that on. I have a new jar, so the spoon isn't going to fit exactly, but you just say that's about 2 tablespoons worth, more or less. Now this is really going. Can you hear it? Yeah. And it smells good too. But even starting these onions early to really let the flavor come out of them. And I think we're good to put the ginger in next. So let's do that. And a little bit on the cutting board and the rest right here. Just wiping it off of this. Let me move the cutting board over so you can see what I'm doing in the cooker here. Let's see. If I scoot it over, I think you'll be able to see what's going on. How's that? Can you see? Yeah. Okay. So this smells amazing because we got the ginger and the garlic and the onion going on in here. And I have my meat ready to go. Drain it one more time. And it's lightly salted. And I have my tomato sauce and I have some water as well. Okay. So let's get the spices in. And we're going to just cook them ever so quickly in here with the onions. Oh, really? This smells so good. Oh my goodness. Now just let the flavors come out. Can you see? I can kind of lift it up. The color is just amazing when you put all these together. Let's get the meat in there. And I'm just going to toss it around and really let everything coat the meat. And now I'm going to let it sit for a second so it can kind of start to cook for real. Excuse me. I have some water on hand in case this kind of starts to stick or something. I can deglaze with the water, but I also have my tomatoes that are going in. Don't worry. You know, the little bits that stick in the bottom of the pot, those are the num-nums. That's the flavor. And we're just going to break it up when we add some liquid and it'll be fine. And you want to move it around a little bit from time to time just to make sure. I'm not going to add the carrots just yet. All right, can you see that? So some of it is starting to look like it's sticking, but I'm not worried about that at all, okay? Because we're going to do what they call the glaze. It's really when you've been sauteing something and you have the bits at the bottom of the pan. The glaze is when you add liquid and stir that all in and it becomes part of the gravy or part of the sauce that you're making. So don't let it worry you when you see little bits that are kind of sticking to the bottom. And it's really not sticking bad. All right, ready? When we add a little liquid, it's going to bubble quite a bit. And now I'm going to run this spatula along the bottom and just loosen up whatever was sort of sticking a little bit, very mildly. It really wasn't much. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off the sauteing. We're done with that part. I'm going to add my carrots. Very good. They're stirred in. I'm going to add some cilantro when I serve this. Okay, I'm adding the tomatoes, but I didn't quite add the whole thing. I want to give it a stir and kind of see how those proportions look before I close this up. I don't want it. I like a good brothy curry, but I do want the lamb to be the star of the show here. I think that's the right amount of tomato. That looks good. And the coconut milk is going to go in at the end, and that will, it'll kind of thicken it, but it'll be another liquid as well. So let's just stop there. Can you see how that looks? I think it looks delicious already. So what we need to do is seal this up. There we go. Make sure it's on seal setting. And now we're going to set it to pressure cook. And I have a lot of options here, but I want high. And now I can set the time. I'm going to set this for 25 minutes, 20 minutes. That should be plenty. That'll really make this delicious. There's a keep warm setting, so that'll just kick in when it finishes. So if I get busy doing something else, it'll keep warm until I get to it, which is nice. Especially if you're making a big meal and you have other things that you're trying to prepare, the keep warm can be a real game changer. So I hit start, and it's now on the preheating. And once it gets up to temperature, the 20 minutes of cooking will start. And this one's really easy to remove the pressure from, and I'll have this beautiful curry in no time. So I will check in again when this is done, or I'll post a picture of the finished product. I'm excited to try it. As you can see, it has a lot of ingredients, but it's really a simple preparation. So don't let the long list of spices discourage you from trying to make a dish like this. It really is a simple preparation. So hope everyone's having a great evening. I'll check back when it's all done.